Hi, everybody. Look who's with me today, Melody Thomas Scott. You know why she's with me today? Because we're celebrating this month her 45th anniversary on The Young and the Restless. Congratulations, yet another milestone.
Yet another. Yes, thank you. It seems like we just did the 40th. I can't believe that was 5 years ago.
I can't either. And I was looking back and I went, how did that happen? And what I thought was interesting, you know, like how actors on soaps even get 10 years. It's amazing, right? And you've got 45.
Well, you hang around a place long enough, you'll reach some milestone.
Somebody right at some point. Um, I just have to tell you, and I think you've seen me write about this, but your work in this current storyline to me is some of the most phenomenal work you've done in your career, and that's saying something. I
Yeah.
really think it's incredible, and I think it's touched so many people because this time this was done to her.
Yes, and that makes all the difference. I totally agree.
And so when you're playing this now, there's more layers to it, right? She didn't just go drink because something happened. It's so sad.
She's a victim again, yet again.
Yet again.
Nikki has always been the perfect victim.
But when you heard that they were gonna put the IV in you, and what did you think of it? And I know you don't read too far ahead, right?
No, I don't want it to influence my performance, so I don't want to know what's going to happen unless it's the next day, of course.
But when you saw this was where they were going,
um,
mortified or excited?
oh, not mortified. I was very excited. I initially was just told that there was going to be a story kind of like Sorry, Wrong Number. Remember that? Barbara Stanwyck, you're too young for that.
No, I remember Barbara Star. Yeah.
Where Nikki would be, terrorized. And that's all that I knew. And I thought that sounded like great fun. I didn't know for a little bit that she was going to fall off the wagon in the process of it. And then I thought, oh, and heard how it would happen. And I was thrilled to bits. But now I did kind of want to have a little leader down at the bottom of the screen saying, hey, people, don't put an IV with vodka in your arm because that will kill you. But, poetic license, I suppose.
And then there's that moment where Haley Claire had left the bottle in the. She opens it, and you just as the audience are just going, "No, oh Nikki," because she gives into it. But she's in such a horrible situation.
She tries very hard not to give into it. And I actually I don't usually watch my own scenes because I was there. I did them. I don't feel the need to watch them again, but I did watch them just because this was such an unusual story. And even I was thinking, oh my God, this is terrible. And I knew what was coming, but I thought they were written so very well, and you could really feel her agony.
It was terrible. And then now coming out of that, trying to carry on her day-to-day life. And that's even, the sneaking around in the CD bars, all of that. But it's all played with it just such it's sad. We're just sad. It's hard to watch.
It's very tragic, yes,
That's
because
it.
she
Tragic. Yeah.
she just can't get out of this. And then of course Jordan's not letting her out very easily. And just when Nikki thinks she is mentally strong enough to never take another drink, well, of course she does because something else happens. But I think it's also a learning point for people who are watching the show who may have an addiction problem that I don't think, no, I could be wrong. I think it'd be highly unusual for just somebody being mentally strong to just stop. Don't they have to go through a process? You have to really
I would
look.
think.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but Nikki doesn't quite get that yet. And she's going to her AA meetings and getting strength from them. But in my opinion, that's not enough.
Right. And then, of course, what I loved about what they've done is they put her back with Jack in scenes where he's the person that she wants, because he had an addiction problem and they've had a history of that. And so, and he even flashed back to,
It made sense that they would mesh back together because he understands it. But yeah, he and Victor don't get along very well. So
I mean, how would
I
you feel?
don't.
How would you feel if Nikki and Jack got back together over this?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love Peter. I mean, I Peter was my second favorite husband. um, it would be wonderful, but I don't know if the fans would go for that. They are so invested in, dare I say, Nictor,
Victor,
that I think they would really be upset about that, unless Victor did something really crummy. Then I could buy that.
because he doesn't like this at all, even though you've gone to him and said, I really need Jack's help. Please do what I'm asking you and allow me to do, or not allow me, but I have to do this.
Yeah, I basically said, hey, this is my call. I'm doing it,
Right.
which shocked me that Nikki would
Right.
say that way to him. But yeah, she did.
The funniest thing that I love online about this, they call you Miss Bougie. They call Nikki Miss Bougie. And they're like, and I'm reading like what they're saying, like Miss Bougie went to the dive bar, Miss Bougie and other.
But I guess that's me.
It's
Who
isn't
else would it be?
like Nikki is Miss Bougie because I guess they say, and I think you had talked about this with me over the years. She was the wealthy wife. She married into the wealth of this guy, and then she had this socialite life. So I think that's why they call her Miss Bougie. Does
Well, it
she?
took her many years to become Miss Bougie. I'll take it. That's fine. At least it's not Madam Bougie. They're calling me Miss. So, that's not so bad.
It's okay. Colleen Zenk said she just adores working with you and had commented to me that, you deserve a Daytime Emmy nomination for this. I certainly concur 100%. And what is it like working with Colleen? You had not worked with her. You did not know each other at all, right?
Yeah, I'd never even met, if you can believe that. All those decades, both being on CBS shows, we had never met. So it is such a thrill. From her very first day, we bonded. We feel like we're best friends. She's amazing. I'm so honored to be working with her, and I know the fans are so thrilled to see her on YNR.
With Hayley Erin Claire, she's been really remarkable too. And I,
Adore Hayley.
yeah.
Yes,
So,
she's spectacular. I mean, incredible actress, but such a sweetheart in real life. She's so normal, and I just love her.
and interesting when they brought Brian Gaskell in. Now you're talking about her being the victim. Now she's set up again. He's trying to infiltrate because she's being pushed by Jordan. I'm like, Nikki,
What?
but we're concerned for her. She's going to fall into another trap, maybe.
Probably. I don't know where you are as far as air shows, so I don't know what's aired and what hasn't.
Yeah, we're about to see what happens with that.
I
Yeah. So I wrote down some of the weddings. I just want to read. So I have had Nikki married to Kevin Bancroft, Victor, Jack Abbott, Joshua Landers,
I
Victor,
gotta back up. You missed the very first one, Greg Foster.
Greg Foster, Kevin
Okay.
Bancroft, Victor, Jack Abbott, Joshua Landers, Victor, Victor again, David Chow, Deacon Sharp, Jack Abbott again, and Victor. Does that sound about right to you?
It sounds right. I don't know if it's in the exact correct order, but because I feel like I was married to Jack closer to each other, but you could be right. I mean, you look these things up for a
Right,
living.
but that's a lot of marriages.
Well, things happen.
Did you like the big weddings to Victor when you had the big weddings and she came down the stairs?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
or were those days, did you have any fun moments from those days, or do you remember it?
They were all fun. I think the very first one in 1984 had to have been the biggest. It was the grandest, and people still talk about it today. They still talk about my wedding gown. And I was still fairly new to the show. I was young, and it was spectacular. And I just remember getting yelled at by the designers who designed the wedding gown because they were fussing and all over me on the set when we were shooting that. And I would get so tired. It was a very, very long day, I think 2 days in a row. And I wanted to sit down, but they wouldn't let me sit down because something about the fabric, I don't know. And then I just got too tired and I finally just lied straight down on the floor. And when they found me, I went over to a corner so they wouldn't find me, so I could just lie down and rest for a 5-minute break.
In the
And they
dress.
came and found me. Oh my God, she's on the floor. Go pick up the dress. Oh, forget about me. Pick up the dress. So, I always seem to get into trouble somehow. But it was so fun, and gosh, all of our old cast was there, and most of them are not here anymore, even on this earth, I hate to say. So very fond memories of that first wedding. And CBS sent Eric and I on a nationwide uh, press junket, which I don't know had ever happened before. It certainly hasn't happened since. Sent us to all these major cities, and it was amazing. It was a good time. It was a very good time in our lives.
And the Newman kids, Joshua and Amelia, your children. I
Yes.
Yes. When you first saw them come to the show to where they are now, what is your thoughts from their initial, they came into the show, they worked with you, and now you see them decades later, what they've become or how they are?
Well, I think they always were incredible when they came to us. Now, of course, we had Heather Tom in the role of Victoria at first, so that's not really a fair assessment.
True.
Uh, but so I remember Joshua. Joshua was 19 years old. And I happened to peek over the balcony at the studio. He was walking out to his car after being told he had just gotten the part. And he jumped high in the air and clicked his heels and let out with a big woohoo. And I said, I saw that. uh, and certainly he has grown as an actor. Not that he wasn't good when he started, he was, but oh, he's so wonderful now. He's in the groove. We're all there to help each other. We're all Newmans. We're not going to let anybody fail, and we just keep cheerleading I mean, they don't need any cheerleaders, but they're all, Amelia's fantastic, always has been. I remember her first day, and she was just so sweet. uh I, when we talked about that scene years later, I got tears in my eyes, probably tears down my face, because I remembered that day so well. And she was new. She had to work with Eric Braeden. She was a little nervous, and she just melted my heart on that day, and it is still melted.
Amazing. I mean, you just see it in the scenes, right? Like the Newman family, it just feels like realness kind of in it, even though you're doing drama and you're doing a script, but you can tell that you guys all enjoy working with each other. And one of the things when they went to Jordan's house in Oregon and they all got poisoned and all the ridiculous things happened. I remember talking to Amelia, she goes, yeah, the fake drugging and everything. Do you guys not laugh in those scenes or do you get through them?
Oh
You,
God. Oh,
I
well,
can't,
you know
because
how we
you're
get
so
in our
fun.
rehearsals.
Well, you're so fun too. So I was like, don't you guys must have.
We are all equally insane during rehearsals, getting into trouble for laughing and carrying on and just being silly. We, I feel like we have to get it out during rehearsal so that we can then do it seriously when the cameras are rolling, because sometimes, yeah, that whole thing with poison and whatnot, it's a little different from reality. But yeah, we just get it out. And no matter what the scene is, Eric and I, terrible, terrible. Don't get him started because he can't stop laughing. And his laughing is so infectious, then
Every
we all lose again. And we keep that up until we get in trouble from the booth. All right, come on, let's go. 6 o'clock, hurry up. Okay. But we really do feel very much that we are a family. And it's wonderful.
even all these years later. I was going to say there was one story I had to ask you about. Do you remember Crazy Edward storyline?
Of course, very well.
So you literally, the story was he takes her home to meet his mother and the mother's in the urn,
Yes.
right? What do you recall about finding out about that was the story, and were you freaked out or you thought it was great?
I don't think Bill was writing the show in those days, and Bill kept that information pretty tight. I don't remember us knowing even a week in advance. I mean, maybe we would get our script maybe 3 or 4 days in advance, and that was it. And you knew nothing about future story. But I loved the story. It was almost Hitchcockian, shall we say. And the actor who played him, Paul Tully, so magnificent and such a sweetheart. And we loved each other so much. But man, when that red light came on the camera, he scared the shit out of me. Excuse me, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but absolutely terrifying. But then the minute the scene was over, we're fooling around and laughing and everything. But he was so good, so good.
So good. And why do you think we always have said, all of us pundits and people that talk, that we really feel that you play the best drunk on a show?
Well, thank you. I don't really
But
know
why? but you
if that's your next question.
no, but I was gonna say, you've told me before over the years you do like playing her, having her
I do.
addiction, having her fall off the wagon.
I do.
Right.
That's simply for selfish reasons. That's for my enjoyment. I take great pleasure in it. It's fun for me. And just the process of pretending to be drunk, I love that process, and I love the end result, and I try not to do too much, because there's nothing worse when an actor is overplaying drunk. It's just, oh, so you have to kind of keep it a little bit under, unless now, oh no, I'm not going to say anything because I don't know where your air show is, but sometimes because of Jordan, Nikki does get much sloppier than I normally would play it.
You know, when you guys had that fight scene in the bar, in that home, like, now I can't remember, you tell me, did you like cat fight scenes or fight scenes like that, or do
Oh,
you?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
I'm made for soap operas, I'm telling you. I like the cat fights. I like the dark. I like the high drama. I was made for it.
Okay, because some actresses are like, I just don't do cat fights. I won't do things like that, like roll around or get into a fight,
Is
or
that a feminism issue?
maybe,
Okay. I mean,
maybe,
I can understand that,
yeah.
but I think they're fun. This is my problem. Everything's fun. It's so fun. I'm having fun.
Right, because Sharon and you had a big thing right in the hay. There was the thing in
Yeah.
the, yeah.
And she did pour a pitcher of cold milk on my head. Those were a couple of them.
So when you look back now at 45 years, you're still on the show. You are an icon with the show. What is it meant to you in your heart when you like reflect on this, when you take a moment and reflect on this, that obviously they felt you were great enough to be on the show for so long and to continue to write for you, and you have the love of millions of fans. That's pretty amazing. I have to say, that's why I think you're one of the greatest that's ever done this, because you have all that.
I have been extremely fortunate, and so blessed to have even gotten mixed up with these crazy people. And I know we've talked about this. I didn't even want the part. So the kismet of me, actually, my agent telling me take Y&R, forget that other part. All of these things through the years have somehow gone my way. And I just feel so grateful and so blessed that this has become such an enormous part of my career, that it couldn't get any better.
Does your family watch you on the show, like the children? Like, no.
No. My daughter Elizabeth, well, she never really did willingly, but when she was about 4 or 5, somebody in the house had put the show on, and I was on the screen crying. And I didn't make the connection. I just know that she just stood up and stormed out of the room. I hate this show. And I found out later that she hated it because she didn't like to see mommy crying and she didn't understand, that it was a show. Don't cry, Michael. I know it was a sad thing. But no, no, they have their own lives. They have other things to do.
So where do you hope this story goes? I mean, you don't know too much ahead, right? The current story. Do you want her to get, do you want her to get sober?
Well, isn't that going to have to be the ultimate goal?
Ultimately, I don't think she can drink for 3 years, but I don't know.
I don't know. I really have no idea where they're going with that. I think at some point she's going to have to go to rehab, right? Unless there's some magic pill out there that's only available in Genoa City.
You know, you and Eric Braeden we talk about always Nick Dorr and the incredible, fame of the couple and the enduring, how they're the enduring icons of the show. And now, when you first met Eric again, to hear, did you know back then when you met him, did you think that it would end up like this, that it would be this? Did you have a gut feeling about working with Victor
Oh,
that there was?
no, not at all. In fact, I was a little terrified when I heard that he and I would be doing scenes. I thought, what? What? And Eric also, in retrospect, over the years, we have both compared notes. He also wondered, what am I going to be working with that young kid, that snotty kid? And so we had no idea what Bill saw. He had a vision with us and somehow knew that we would have chemistry. It didn't take Bill long to show us in the scripts why he put us together. Then we started to see it, although it was hard to imagine at first, but certainly by the time Nikki had baby number one, who's the baby's father, that storyline, we knew. And we weren't even married yet. Nikki and Victor weren't even married yet. So we did figure it out pretty early.
Do you guys, because you've been on the show together for so long, if you either of you are having a bad day or something challenging, do you guys lean on each other, or you don't talk about, like, do you just show up and do your work, or do you have a relationship where you can
Oh
say, I'm
no, oh
struggling
no,
a little
we
bit
talk about each
today?
other's lives,
Yeah.
of course. We talk about each other's lives. We talk about anything under the sun, you know. Where'd you get that chocolate croissant? I want one. Whatever it is.
So what would be your hope for Nikki now? What's your hopes for her? Even being on the show 45 years, is there some story you still would love to play or do with her that you've never gotten a chance to do? I hope that's not been asked 85 times. I just want to know if you've ever thought about where you'd like to take her.
I've never had an evil twin. The look on your face. Yes. And I've never gone stark raving mad and put in a rubber room, and I've always wanted that.
You have not done that.
No.
We'll start a petition
Oh God.
to put her there. When you go do these scenes that you've done with, the alcohol storyline, and I know I've read, you have to leave it home. You have to leave it at the set. You can't take things
Oh
with
yeah,
you. Are you able to do that in this situation as well when it's so heavy? So dramatic.
absolutely. Never enters my mind to hang on to it. That's a terrible pitfall for actors. You mustn't do that. You have to leave it in the studio and go home and have your own life. Funny, I was just talking to one of our actors today about that. I won't tell you who it was, but they kept saying they're trying to be more like me because it's hard for them to leave it at work. I said, "Oh, you must. It's an absolute must."
Yeah, I've talked to so many actors through the years who say they have great difficulty leaving it out. They tell
Huh.
me it's not always easy, especially when it's your body that feels it more than your mind. Like if you go through something taxing on set and
Yes,
your body,
absolutely. It can be very exhausting, but you've got to go home and have your wits about you and learn the dialogue for the next day. So you don't have time for all of that nonsense. You have to just leave it, move on.
was there a party scene or a big gala like the bicentennial gala or something over the years that she's been involved with that, you know, are those long scenes arduous for you, like being there all day? Is it like you want to get out, or do you have fun with it?
Well, we all know what kind of a day those shoots are going to be. So we're ready. We're armed. We've brought snacks. We know it's going to be very long. They're all like that. Any kind of wedding or dance or some kind of gathering.
Uh, and closing, there was not, when you look at her from her days as a stripper to now, did you love the stripper days? Were there moments of her life that you loved the best, parts of her life to play?
I actually did like her in the very beginning when she was just a little brat living with her sister and her father, who of course ended up trying to rape her and she hit him over the head with a lamp and he died. But I did not care for the stripping storyline at all, only because I knew that I didn't have the natural dancing ability. I wasn't fluid enough to really look good up there stripping. I know they hired wonderful choreographers and everything for me, but I just didn't feel worthy of being up there, I guess is what it was. Of course, now I look back on it and I think, oh, I guess it wasn't too bad. Don't ask me to do it today, but
And then they brought the music back in this storyline, the
oh,
stripper.
that. Yes, yes. There was a strip that she did uh, in the colonnade room. She was married to Jack, and Victor's sitting there with some other woman, and she's drunk. I don't know if you remember this.
Too.
I saw that recently, and I thought it was great. I didn't at the time, but looking back, I thought, wow, that was good.
I remember at the time you didn't like it, right? You
What do
didn't.
I know? I didn't know any better.
Well, I just want to wish you happy 45th anniversary of The Young and the Restless. It's such a pleasure to see you and to talk to you always. And I mean, what this work that you are doing right now is absolutely incredible. And hope everybody will tune into The Young and the Restless weekdays on CBS and Paramount Plus, and not to miss Melody. I guess
Uh,
we'll be talking on the 50th anniversary of your
you can call me Miss Melody for the rest of
Miss
our.
Melody.
That's what you said, Miss Melody.
Miss Melody.
Anyway, no, it was great to talk to you. It's been a bit since we
Been
have
a bit.
gotten to sit.
It's been a bit.
Yes.
So glad we got to
Enjoyed
do
every
that.
minute.
All right. Take care, Melody.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.